Joining me now is Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen, a member of the Budget, Appropriations, and Foreign Relations Committees. Senator, it's awfully good to have you here, sir. I'm curious your reaction to what you just heard. Is this spiraling national debt justification for these mass firings?
Well, Alex, it's good to be with you. No, that's all a big lie that they're putting out there because, of course, they're pursuing big tax cuts for very rich people that would add hugely to our deficit. You know, as Hakeem Jeffries said, candidate Trump said he was going to bring down prices. He's not doing that. What he is doing is cutting with a chainsaw important services that benefit every American to make room for those tax cuts for the very rich. And so they want to cut things like Medicaid, Medicare, and on top of that, they will add to the deficit and debt.
So let's get your reaction to Elon Musk's email to hundreds of thousands of federal workers asking them to explain what they've accomplished over the last week at work. I'm curious your reaction to that and what you think the impact will be to thousands of federal workers in your state, in Maryland there, as well as across the country, from these sweeping cuts.
Well, Alex, this is part of what is an illegal rampage by Elon Musk across these federal agencies. And again, the purpose is twofold. One is to make government work for people like Elon Musk, right? They want to get rid of the inspector generals and they want to make way for taking actions to help people like Elon Musk. The other is to clear the way for tax cuts for the very rich. So this has nothing to do with government efficiency and everything to do with, again, making the government work for Musk. Now, yeah, as you said, this most recent order from Elon Musk it's illegal. You even have the new FBI director, right, Patel, saying to his employees, no, Elon Musk doesn't get to do this. You respond to your supervisors. Elon Musk is not, part of the Constitution. He didn't go through the advice and consent process, which is why federal judges have already indicated that there are serious questions about the legality of his whole operation. And I think we need to shut it down.
I want to dig into the legal aspect because many Democrats are sounding the alarm about President Trump and Elon Musk using executive power, claiming they're withholding of congressionally approved funding and then firing federal workers, that it is illegal. It's driving the government into some sort of a constitutional crisis. Are we there yet, sir? Or are the courts working as a check to presidential power and keeping away that crisis for now?
Well, we're there in the sense that Donald Trump has issued all of these executive orders, which anybody can see he doesn't have the power to do. I mean, he's trying to do things by executive order that require congressional action and the normal process. I do think that the courts have been responding well. I mean, when you have this mass illegality, you're seeing all these lawsuits and all these temporary restraining orders. One of them, as you just indicated, relates to the Trump administration's effort to withhold funds for important community priorities around the country. There's a TRO on that. And there are also issues with respect to their firing of these federal employees. Federal employees have due process rights, and Elon Musk and his cohorts are just lying about what they're doing. And there are, for example, for a federal employee, you fire them because of misconduct or poor performance. And they're sending out these letters claiming federal employees haven't performed adequately when those federal employees just received glowing performance reports. So they're lying, and this is an illegal operation.
Let's take a look at the sweeping budget plan that's being put forth by the House, because it could result in some pretty steep cuts to Medicaid, to food stamps, to other social safety net programs. What would this proposed $2 trillion in spending cuts mean for average Americans? I'm curious the concerns that you're hearing from constituents. And do you think this budget will get through?
Well, I'm glad you raised this because we were up to about 5:30 a.m. in the United States Senate. The Republicans brought forward their so-called budget resolution, which is clearly setting things up for these huge tax breaks for very rich Americans at the expense of everybody else. And so we tried to put some guardrails around it. So, for example, we said, well, don't cut Medicare, don't cut Medicaid. I offered an amendment so you wouldn't cut school lunches for kids. And one after another, Republicans refused to put up those guardrails. So it's very clear what their plan is. Their plan is to provide Elon Musk and all those other billionaires who were sitting right behind Donald Trump when he was sworn in with these big tax cuts at the expense of everybody else in America.
I mean, it doesn't seem like that's what they were elected to do, but let's move overseas now. As I ask you about that meeting that you and other senators had with Ukrainian President Zelensky, that was in Munich. That was now a couple weekends ago. So on the eve of the third anniversary of Russia's invasion and President Trump's pivot towards Moscow's interests, what did Zelensky say to you about his hopes for ending the war?
Well, Alex, nobody would like to see the war in Ukraine come to an end than the people of Ukraine. I mean, they've lost tens of thousands of people. They're suffering, but they also care about their sovereignty and their democracy and their way of life. And so for Donald Trump to throw the Ukrainian people under the bus is unconscionable, and it's a great victory for Putin and President Xi in China and all those people who wish democracy ill. And of course, it's understandably scaring our European allies, because this is more than rhetoric, I believe. This is reality. Donald Trump is on Putin's side, and he's throwing Ukraine under the bus.
Yeah. Let me just say, my executive producer said in my ear that meeting was last weekend, to which I say it's been a long week.
Yes.
But you're probably feeling a level of jet lag still. So let me ask you about Ukraine, which has indicated it is considering essentially the same U.S. proposal that it turned down last week, one that would give the U.S. half of its mineral and gas revenues with no security guarantee in exchange. So let's take a listen to what the president said about that yesterday.
I want them to give us something for all of the money that we put up, and I'm going to try and get the war settled, and I'm going to try and get all that death ended. So we're asking for rare earth and oil, anything we can get.
What do you make of this deal? Are you confident that the administration will negotiate a peace that guarantees Ukraine's security?
Oh, I'm not at all comfortable that they'll do that. In fact, the president began the negotiations by giving up American leverage, by saying that Ukraine could never become part of NATO and the U.S. will provide no security guarantees. They also made territorial concessions right out of the box. Look, Alex, you may get to some of those points through negotiation, but throwing the Ukrainians under the bus from the beginning is no way to do that. With respect to the minerals deal, the Ukrainian people recognize that the United States has been on their side. They would welcome American investment in Ukraine, and I'm sure they'd be willing to enter into some kind of arrangements. But for the President of the United States to extort the people of Ukraine when they're under the gun, under fire from Putin is outrageous. I mean, can you imagine FDR saying to Churchill while the Nazis were bearing down, just give us half your coal reserves and your mineral reserves, and then we'll help you out in the face of these attacks. It's just outrageous. And, people around the world are understandably worried about American leadership. I mean, this is not America first. This is America in retreat.
And we heard that echoed from Munich and beyond after that meeting. So, Senator Van Hollen, awfully good to speak with you, sir. I hope you have a good Sunday. Thank you.
And you too. Thank you.